products. They also have a lot of tire deals up on their website. $20 mail-in rebates per tire, $200 mail-in rebate for a set of 4 tires. So they are a full-service operation.
Yeah, definitely, Jim. And I'm always excited to talk about my good friends at the White Bear Lake Superstore, Buick GMC, and my longtime friend Paul Rubin and his general manager Charlie Guttrell and their great staff are Minnesota's #1 volume Buick GMC dealer, 4 years running, with the best selection, the only place to get the premium experience. The White Bear Lake Superstore's autumn sales event is going on now, pricing well below MSRP on GMC Terrains, Buick Envisions, and the 2018 GMC Sierra 1500. The White Bear Lake Superstore also is the Quigley 4x4 van superstore. White Bear Lake Superstore, Buick GMC is a certified elite dealer. Only 7% of GM dealers make the cut. Visit in person at 3900 Highway 61 North in White Bear Lake or online at whitebearlakesuperstore.com for all your vehicle needs and the premium experience. Buick GMC, we are professional grade.
So the NFC North is fascinating. The Bears trade for Khalil Mack. They get off to a 3-1 start. Then they lose a game to Brock Osweiler. The Packers 3-2-1 with Rodgers playing on one leg. Another brilliant comeback on Monday night. Vikings 3-2-1, which is about where I thought they'd be. I mean, you never know. The path has been interesting, but the result is kind of about what I expected given the tough early schedule. And then Detroit Lions 2-3, but lately looking a little more formal than I might have expected. What's your assessment of the division and where we're going here?
Yeah, it's kind of jumbled right now, and the Vikings definitely got a gift from the Dolphins on Sunday.
Yes.
When the Dolphins fumble on going into the end zone, and then the Bears drive it down the field, and they're lined up for a potential winning field goal and miss it. It was a long field goal attempt. And then Miami comes back and wins the game, which I'm sure the Vikings were very grateful for, and brought them within a half game of the division lead. And I agree with you. I think that 3-2-1 is about where we thought they'd be, and with the very difficult early start and the tough road games. And so it was unfortunate for them that the 49ers couldn't hold on the other night. If Garoppolo had been there, they probably would have. Beathard threw a bad interception at the end and gave the ball to Aaron Rodgers with a minute to go, which is never a good idea. And so it was, as I said, the race is interesting. I think it's going to be not decided until later in the season, but you just don't know how it's going to play out. Certainly those 2 back home and home series with the Bears will be huge in the second half of the season for the Vikings. They've got still home and home with Detroit and one more with Green Bay here. And so a lot of things have to happen. But I think what it does, it does put the onus on the Vikings to make sure they beat the teams that they need to beat, such as the Cardinals last week. And the Cardinals were a better team than people thought going in. We talked about that last week. They had some talented guys like Chandler Jones on that team, Larry Fitzgerald's towards the end of his career. But I thought they did a lot of really good things in the game. We talked about the running game. Adam Thielen, his fantastic play continues, and the defense basically pitches a shutout on 3rd and 4th down, 0 for 10 on 3rd down for the Cardinals, 0 for 2 on 4th down, and did the job on the rookie quarterback that we thought we'd see against Josh Allen when they played Buffalo. But they definitely did it to Josh Rosen this time, and now they get another rookie quarterback this week in Sam Darnold. So I think that the division is pretty good. I think that the race is going to be interesting and a battle. And as I said, important to win this game this week, because next week when the Saints come in, that's not going to be easy.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what I've been saying. Is you got to beat these 2 rookie quarterbacks in a row, and then Then it's not that you don't want to beat the Saints or you can't beat the Saints, but you have a little bit of margin for error. The interesting thing to me about the division is if you look at net points, the Bears have outscored their opponents by 43 points. Packers by 4. Vikings have been outscored by 8 points, Lions by 12. So if you just went by objective numbers, it would look like the Bears are the only dominant team in the division. I just don't think that's predictive. It's interesting, but I wouldn't read too much into that.
No, definitely not. And especially because the Vikings had the one down game against Buffalo, right, and that turned the points kind of south on them. And so, yeah, points I don't think they're ever necessarily indicative of what's going on, and most of the time games are fairly close in the NFL, and sometimes they do get out of hand, as that Buffalo game did. And so we'll see what happens. And Detroit got slaughtered by this particular Jets team in their opening game. I think
they've played pretty well since then. Yeah, they looked horrible in that opener.
They have, and they beat New England. So it's just it's a kind of hard to predict sometimes what's happening in this league, and we'll see what happens when all these teams start playing head to head as we go forward. But as we said, I think it's a big game in New York this week for the Vikings. I think they need to find a way to get out of there with a win. It's not going to be easy. The Jets have been a schizophrenic team this year. In their 3 victories, they've averaged over 30 points. And in their 3 losses, they've averaged about 14 points. So they've been up and down, and part of that is having the rookie quarterback. Darnold's got 9 touchdowns. He's got 7 interceptions. But they've got some talent. They got a pretty good trio of receivers on that team. Talking about Robbie Anderson, Terrell Pryor, Jermaine Kearse. They got Isaiah Crowell, had a 219-yard rushing game 2 weeks ago against Denver. So to me, the key to this week for the Vikings, stop the run and then get after the rookie quarterback.
We do have a deal with Bite Squad going on, and it's going to be a little bit different deal this weekend, especially around the big Wild game on Saturday. So Friday or Saturday, you can go to bitesquad.com and use a promo code WILD2018, WILD all caps 2018, as if it's one word. You get $10 off your next Bite Squad order. That's kind of an affiliation with the Michael Russo show on this network. We'd appreciate it if you can do that. The Mahomes-Brady shootout was, to me, incredibly entertaining. And I think what has happened with the offenses and penalties and everything else in the NFL has kind of divided the football world into 2 camps. There's the camp that says, I want defenders to be able to crunch people and maybe even hurt them, and I like defensive football. And then you have other people like me who are like, how can you argue with Mahomes and Brady slinging it back and forth like that and producing 83 points and drama on every drive? Where do you stand on that one?
Yeah, I think I kind of like something in the middle, perhaps. Yeah. And I don't want to see Big 12 football right, where it's 65-62 or something like that. But that game was entertaining and back and forth and all the lead changes and the grizzled vet Tom Brady going against the young upstart superstar in the making and Patrick Mahomes. So it was really I thought a great football game to watch, fun football game to watch, and probably could well be a preview of the AFC Championship game. It looks like those are the 2 best teams over on that side right now. But the Steelers managed to beat the Bengals, and they can always come on, and we'll see what happens when Le'Veon Bell shows up, if he shows up.
If he ever shows up.
Right. And so,
is there any logic to what he's doing?
No, because he's costing him $883,000 a week.
He's not going to get that money back.
No, never going to get that money back. It's just, I think it's the most ridiculous holdout I've ever seen in NFL history. It's just stupid, and it's not as if the Steelers can do something right now for you.
Right.
They're stuck. They can't do a long-term deal for you. So what are you trying to prove? And just all you're doing is costing yourself money, costing your team. It's going to be a little
costing your reputation.
Yeah, exactly. Other teams look at that as a potential free agent and think like, wow, this guy is selfish. And so I work on the agent side now, and I understand player mentality, but I would never advise my player to be not reporting after he's been franchised and we couldn't get a long-term deal done. Just get into camp, play it out, and then figure they're hopefully not going to franchise you again.
Absolutely. Another interesting note from the NFC North. Khalil Mack, the trade was so dramatic. His first performance is so dramatic, and he is a great player. It is interesting when you look at the stats. Danielle Hunter is having a better season statistically than Khalil Mack. How good is Danielle Hunter? Yeah,
I think he's a terrific player, and we talked on our Monday night show on WCCO Radio with Harrison Smith about Danielle Hunter, and he just said the guy is just such a specimen and so athletic. that if you look at him, just long arms and just the ability that he's got. And to me, the thing that's really impressive is that with Everson Griffin still out, and you figure that they're sliding some of their protection over towards Danielle Hunter, and he's still getting there a sack a game and 2 sacks last week, and got 7 on the season, tied for the NFL lead with J.J. Watt. So that's very impressive. Now, Stephen Weatherly's been playing really well, but I think the concern I have is the lack of rotation that they've got with those guys, and are they going to wear down as the season goes on? And so the hope has to be that Griffin does make it back at some point in time, and then they can get that rotation. And Weatherly's all the better for having played, and maybe they get some of their other guys back too that have been hurt. So I think that Danielle Hunter, he just looks like a great pass rusher. He's developed more inside moves now, and as just opposed to a speed rush. And you can see that he's getting coached up very well by Andre Patterson, who I worked with back in the '98 Vikings years, and he's still doing it for the Vikings, doing a great job. And so I'm excited to see him doing well with his guys and having the kind of success they're having. And so, yeah, it doesn't hurt to have Linval Joseph and Sheldon Richardson inside. I think that's been helpful to them, and with some of the blitzing that Zimmer's been doing, and last week it was very effective, and I expect to see a lot more of that against Sam Darnold this week. I think that they feel more confident with the blitzes, whether it's Harrison Smith on the safety blitz or Mackenzie Alexander coming from the outside on a corner blitz, and Anthony Barr, who incidentally I thought had his best game by far this season last week with a forced fumble, a deflection, making plays in the running game, and much more involved. And that's a good sign for the Vikings defense, because he was kind of invisible the first 5 weeks of the season. So that's a good thing. And I think that now the question mark with Mike Hughes getting hurt, which is unfortunate, because I thought the guy was really coming on and getting better and was going to be a factor for them during the season, not only as a corner but as a kick returner. And now they lose him for the year to the ACL. Second straight year they lose a top draft pick. Last year was Dalvin Cook. This year it's Mike Hughes. And now I think it really puts the onus on Trey Waynes and Mackenzie Alexander to stay healthy first and foremost, and to be productive, which neither one of them was early in the season, but I thought they both had their best games last week too, which is a good sign.
Absolutely. I got to do a piece on Andre Patterson this camp, and the cool thing is that, he moved around a lot. He's coached everywhere, like a lot of people in that profession do. And he said he's always felt like he belongs here because this is where he ended up adopting a daughter. And like he and his wife went through the process. There were some personal things involved in terms of deciding to adopt, and they put their name on the waiting list after they were qualified, and they were told, it might be years, and then they get a call like, I don't know, a couple weeks later, and boom, they have their daughter. So it was kind of a heartwarming thing. Andre's a really good guy.
He is a great guy and a great coach.
Yes, absolutely. Is the Vikings offensive line good enough right now, or will it be good enough for this to support a championship team?
Well, I think that's still, I'd say the jury's out on that question, honestly. I think that they had their best game last week, but even still there were issues with protection and with pressure. I thought they did a really good job in the running game. I saw some big holes, and the Cardinals have some talented players up front on defense. So I think that's a good sign, and we'll see if that can continue this week as they go to the Jets and face a defense that is not great. They're 22nd overall, and they're 17th against the rush, 22nd against the pass. So I think there will be opportunities this week for the Vikings. I think that Elflein is getting better every week, and you can see that. I think Remmers had his best game last week, and I was impressed with Brian O'Neill's performance in his first start as a pro.
Especially run blocking.
Yeah,
really got after people.
I'm still concerned about Rashad Hill. I think that whenever he's out there against an elite guy, they should be helping him. To expect him to be blocking Chandler Jones, I thought was not the wisest decision, and it came back to haunt them on the forced fumble and the touchdown return. And so that's where David Morgan helping to chip or Kyle Rudolph helping to chip or Latavius Murray, who's a great pass protector. He's one of the top pass protecting backs in the league, and so I think that they've got to help Rashad Hill when whether he's on the right side or the left side. I think he's the guy that needs a little bit of help.